Vite is switching to Rolldown.
I don't know. You said words.
I'm glad you're happy.
I'm not entirely sure I know them all. You want to explain what Rust is? Roll up, roll down. What are those? What do they do?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Their main engine for the Ariane 6 was successfully tested by the ESA, the European Space Agency.
I think you got to be real careful when you're saying the name of this rocket.
Oh,
were they like, hey,
hey,
could we try a different name?
You should write to them.
I will. I'll be like, dear ass faces.
All right. Hey, how the tech are you? This week, I have two really cool stories. My first one is Vite is switching to Rolldown, which is a Rust port of Rollup. The very popular front-end build tool Vite, which I actually use in my email service, Port87, is switching from Rollup to Rolldown. What a great name, Rolldown. Rolldown is an API-compatible Rust port of Rollup, and it's going to improve the speed Vite builds tremendously. So I'm really excited for that. Every time I do a release of Port87, it takes like 30 seconds to build the production version, which I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but when you're doing it like 4 or 5 times a day, it's very annoying.
It waits 2.5 minutes.
I'm very excited for this switch to Rolldown.
I don't know.
You said words.
I'm glad you're happy.
I'm not entirely sure I know them all.
Yeah, I guess if you're not a front-end developer, this probably wouldn't interest you. I'm very excited that people are building kind of JavaScript tools in Rust. Rust is really cool. There's like a competitor to Electron called Tauri. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Tauri. That's basically just Electron, but instead of Node.js on the back end, it runs Rust. Rust is starting to appear everywhere.
You want to explain what Rust is?
Yeah, Rust is it's a modern language that's meant to compete with C and C++, these kind of like low level languages. And Rust is much more memory safe than C. You don't have to manage memory so nitpickily phrase that.
Carefully.
But basically, Rust is much safer than C. It'll prevent you from doing a lot of things that cause big security vulnerabilities in your application. Not that you can't write something with a security vulnerability in Rust, but some of the common ones that are kind of foot guns in C, Rust will keep you from doing that.
Okay.
Very cool. Very cool. I do believe the new Ubuntu installer is in Rust. Look, I contributed something to the conversation, and it's 20% chance that I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Well,
And,
Rust is a very cool language, and I'm excited to see more of it. I haven't learned it yet, but I kind of want to.
Yeah.
Not kind of. I really want to. I really want to look at Rust and
roll up, roll down. What are those? What do they do?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So Rollup. Rollup is a JavaScript packaging tool. So it takes all of your various JavaScript modules and it packages them all into one bundle that you can then ship across the wire to a customer who's looking at your website. So like JavaScript, when you're writing JavaScript, you'll have like thousands of JavaScript files in all these packages, and each file is a module, and the module can be loaded CommonJS. There's ECMAScript 6 modules, which are just like bare JavaScript modules. Then there's like a couple other packaging formats. There's one called AMD, I think it was called, that no one uses anymore. But like all of these different things are basically just to share the code in one file in another file, like to bring that in. And a bundler like Rollup will take all of these files and put them into one bundle and make sure that they can all talk to each other, even though they might be written in these completely different formats. CommonJS is an older format than ES modules, but it's slowly being replaced by ES modules. So Rollup has basically two jobs, two things to make sure they work correctly and to bundle them all up into one package that you can.
Very cool.
And then Rolldown would just be a port of that to Rust. All right, my next one is really cool. It's the Ariane 6 recently was tested. The main engine for the Ariane 6 was successfully tested by the ESA, the European Space Agency. They recently launched the final Ariane 5 rocket into space earlier this year. This is its successor, the Ariane 6. This is a test fire of its main rocket booster. Very cool that it was successfully tested. Nothing went wrong. At least not that I could see. A lot of it was in French, so the parts that I understood, it seemed like everything was going well. There will be 2 variants of this rocket, the Ariane 6-2, which has 2 solid rocket boosters, and the Ariane 6-4, which has 4 solid rocket boosters. And this will allow the Ariane 6 to be configured depending on the mission and the needs of that mission. The bigger of the 2 will have a somewhat limited payload capacity of 5,000 kilograms, meaning it's actually a little less capable as a medium lift launch vehicle than the Ariane 5, which maxed out at 6,950 kilograms. But the Ariane 5 was much more expensive than the Ariane 6 will be. One thing to note is that while the world is moving towards reusable rockets to reduce cost, the Ariane 6 is a notable exception. The Ariane 6 is not reusable. No stage is reusable. Its biggest competitor will be the Falcon 9 by SpaceX, which does have a reusable stage. And the Falcon 9 has seen tremendous success since it was first launched in 2018.
I think you got to be real careful when you're saying the name of this rocket.
Oh.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Did the Germans have anything to say about the name of this rocket? Were they like, hey, hey, could we try a different name?
I don't know. It's spelled differently. It's Ariane. Ariane.
Like Marianne without the M. They should have called it Marianne.
Yep. You should write to them.
I will. I'll be like, dear ass faces.
The company that is building this is named Ariane Space. So you should tell them too.
That's cool. This is another private company building this rocket?
It's a private company building the rocket, but for ESA. ESA is doing like all the designs and research in partnership with this private company. So it's essentially a government in the same way that like NASA rockets aren't built by NASA. They're built by private companies, but on NASA's dime, being researched, developed, and funded entirely by the ESA.
Yeah, well, I guess now NASA is just hiring like SpaceX or whoever to. I think SpaceX
NASA does not have a launch vehicle of their own.
Not great.
Definitely not great. They are working on the Space Launch System, which is going to be a massive launch vehicle to rival the Saturn V. Wow. I don't think it's actually quite as powerful as the Saturn V. I can't remember which one is more powerful. I could be wrong. There's a 50-50 chance I'm wrong. So
that's the one where they're like reusing the tank from I think a different one. I haven't been following the space stuff that closely recently. So but that sounds cool. And I was kind of surprised that they're using solid rocket boosters for the ESA one, but
they're using solid rocket boosters, and it's no part of it is reusable. So it seems like I know this is like a brand new design. The Ariane 6 is not even finished yet, still in development, but it really seems like an already aged design.
Yeah, it's kind of surprising because the solid rocket boosters, like you light them and you can't stop them. They're going.
Yep.
Like you don't. there's no shutting them off. You can jettison them, but that's about it.
I heard that this engine can be relit. It might be the second stage engine though, not the first stage engine. So I don't remember which one it was. I'm guessing that it's the second stage engine that can be.
Sounds cool.
Very cool.
That has been How the Tech Are You, our weekly tech news show. If you'd like to check out our other shows, you can do that all on echoplexmedia.com. And if you'd like to support us, you can do that on eplex.store and patreon.com/echoplex. Be sure to like the video, leave a comment telling us why you liked it, why you didn't like it, and subscribe. Have a great tech and week.